Manon Fiorot versus Katlyn Chookagian. I'm going with Manon Fiorot in this one. Katlyn Chookagian is a good fighter. She's got the more experience out of the two. She's taller, got a longer reach, and has good output. And as of recent, improved and shown improvement with her wrestling and her grappling. In the Jennifer Maia fight, Katlyn Chookagian showed that she is quite a strong grappler, scoring a few takedowns over Jennifer Maia and really restricting her on the ground and controlling her. Also, her boxing really showcased in that fight. Really good striking and timing as well from Katlyn Chookagian. A high output, and she likes to put on the pressure. Manon Fiorot, on the other hand, has shown some really, really good, clean technical striking in her most recent fights. After Manon Fiorot, if she's to win this fight against Chookagian, it's more likely going to push her towards a title shot. It's a big fight for Fiorot, whereas Chookagian's already had that experience. But I think when you're looking at the styles for each of these fighters, Chookagian being a little bit taller with a little bit of a longer reach, I think that's actually going to play into a disadvantage for her, as she likes to have a little bit of a high guard. Manon Fiorot uses her lead leg to throw a lot of side kicks to the body, leg kicks, variety of strikes. She uses excellent movement to then put together some good boxing combinations and really put a pace on her opponents. I think when you're looking at each fighter, especially looking at how they deal with pressure themselves, like Fiorot versus Maia, when you look at that, Fiorot only got caught with a few shots in between a few phases. I think at one point they were grappling and during a scramble. As Fiorot got up, she ate a head kick from Maia. Other than that, there was no parts where Fiorot looked like under pressure from the striking of Maia. On the other hand, when you're looking at Chookagian's level above Maia with his striking was very clear. However, Chookagian was still getting caught with quite a few shots. Yeah. And I think with the footwork from Fiorot, the distance management, the ability to really control the distance with that lead leg and her boxing combinations, I think she's gonna win comfortably against Chookagian. Yeah, there's gonna be parts where the pressure from Chookagian might get to Fiorot, but overall, I think over the course of 3 rounds, Fiorot's gonna win a decision. And with the accumulative body shots that Fiorot's gonna be landing on Chookagian, because Chookagian's taller, Fiorot likes to throw those side kicks to the body. I think it's gonna rack up and it's going to slow Chookagian down a lot more than what we've seen from her. And I think we might even get a stoppage from Manon Fiorot. Definitely leaning towards her, stoppage or decision. I think more than likely a decision, but I wouldn't be surprised if the stoppage presents itself for Fiorot because of the bodywork. I think it's gonna because Chookagian likes to come forward. She likes to put on the pressure. But where you have someone constantly backing up, constantly kicking that body as you're going forward, it's gonna take it out of you. And I think we're gonna see a clinical win from Fiorot, but with parts of success from Chookagian. In a little bit of some rounds will be close, I think, but I think for the most part, Fiorot's gonna come away with a decision here. How do you see this one going down?
I'm leaning towards Fiorot as well. Don't get twisted. Chookagian, she's a good fighter, great boxer. She's great at controlling her space as well with the boxing. She's a good wrestler, but I just feel like Fiorot, she also is a good wrestler, as we saw against Silva in the Myra Bueno Silva fight. You know, her wrestling was very good in that fight. The fight against Maia, she handled the pressure well, and that's how Chookagian fights, with the pressure. So she handled it well. She kept the pressure at bay with the distance, as you said, with the side kicks, and she does favor that lead leg kick. So and she always creates a distance and creates her space. She's good at keeping her space with it, and then, as you said, setting up the combos. I'm actually leaning towards a finish, maybe like in the 3rd round, because she likes to she's a very energetic fighter, and like you would think that she would tire out, but she doesn't. She keeps going she's relentless for 3 rounds. Literally every fight we've seen her, and she's literally relentless for 3 rounds.
Non-stop.
Non-stop. Wrestling, striking, she mixes it up and she's still going. So I definitely think she's gonna walk away with a finish, if not definitely a decision. But I'm leaning towards a finish, man. I think regardless, this is going to be a good fight. You know, as you were saying before, this is like an important fight. The winner should lead on to the title fight. So they're both going to be coming in proper. They're both going to be coming in hungry, both coming in wanting it more. You know, so it's going to be an exciting fight. I think it's going to make a good fight. But I'm leaning towards Fiorot, sorry, but let's not derate Chookagian because she is a very good fighter and she has got that finishing potential.
And I mean, let's see how she handles the pressure from Chookagian. Because to my knowledge, I don't think Faro's been in there with anyone of the height, the size, and the experience of Chookagian yet. So,
Yeah.
it's going to show Faro's level. If she can deal with Chookagian well and easy, then definitely title shot soon for Manon Fiorot. Both going with Manon Fiorot. Let us know you think it's going to win in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and we'll be back with more. Beneil Dariush versus Mateusz Gamrot. It's going down, and this is a big fight for Gamrot, man. I mean, if he wins this, he's more than likely going to probably get a title shot or fight one of the upper end fighters in the lightweight division. I'm actually picking Beneil Dariush to win this fight, though. I think he's quite underrated. He has had a year and a half out of the cage, but I mean, just looking at each of them fight mutual opponents, I just think Dariush is. If it was a 5-round fight, I'd say Gamrot would win this. But in a 3-round fight, I just think Dariush is going to just do more. I don't think Gamrot's going to be able to get the better of Dariush with the wrestling, the grappling. The only thing I do see though is that Dariush does get a little bit tired. Like we saw in all of his last couple of fights, in a Ferreira fight, in the Holtzman fight, the Drakkar Close fight, and a lot of these fights he looks tired, he looks laboured, he gets tagged, and he looks like he's starting to wilt, but he explodes, he comes with some serious offense, and we've seen him like a machine as a recent. Obviously the KO victories he's had though, I don't think it's good to look too much into them because they're a little bit of surprise KOs where he's caught his opponents off guard. And one thing Dariush is good in doing is, because he has such a grappling advantage over a majority of his opponents, he's able to drag them into brawls where he threatens them with the grappling, but then he's able to beat them up close because of the threat of the takedowns. It opens up the striking for him. And then because of that pressure, he causes big effect, and he causes these sort of KOs like we saw in the Holtzman fight and in the Drakkar Close fight. Like Drakkar Close, he hurt him after being swarmed with grappling. He hurt Beneil Dariush, tried to put it on him, got a bit wild, and then Dariush ended up turning his lights out. And then the Holtzman fight, the spinning back of his KO, I think again down to like a lack of foundations from Holtzman, alongside the pressure from Dariush, it caused that fumble which allowed Dariush to score that spinning back fist KO. But against Gamrot, I don't really see those opportunities presenting itself. I do see Dariush putting on pressure on Gamrot, landing successful strikes, but I don't think he's going to land those sort of finishing shots on Gamrot, because I think Gamrot has got good foundation. He's got good wrestling and grappling, so I think they'll neutralize each other in that regard. And I think when you're looking at purely stand-up, Dariush just puts a lot more emphasis on his offense. He's a lot more explosive and has a little bit more output in that regard. So I just see Dariush winning. It all depends on how he is a year and a half out of the cage. If he's in good shape and if he's able to pick up how he left off, then I actually see him edging Gamrot on a decision here, on a close one. It's not going to be like a dominant victory for either of them in this one. I'd give Dariush the edge, but again, it depends on how he is a year and a half out of the cage and how Gamrot decides to pace himself. I mean, if Gamrot, we saw him 5 rounds against Tsarukyan, he's able to comfortably fight 5 rounds against a really good prospect in Arman Tsarukyan. So if he's able to condense himself and fight to a higher output over 3 rounds, then it's Gamrot's fight. But we can't say, we can't base it off something we haven't seen him do before. Generally speaking, Mateusz Gamrot's a little bit of a slow starter. And yeah, I see Dariush just doing more, man. I see him actually edging it. Again, close one, not really one to be too confident in betting and so on and so forth. But yeah, going with Dariush in this one. Who do you think?
Yeah,
How did you see this one going down?
I see this is gonna be a cracking fight. I'm looking forward to this one. I'm a big Dariush fan now. He's a proper exciting fighter, explosive man. He's proper explosive, and you are right. He does start to tire out, but this isn't a 5-round fight, so his output and his explosiveness may outdo Gamrot. Gamrot's takedowns are great, so he may be forced into going to the ground where he might have a slight advantage over Dariush, but Dariush can wrestle, and his takedowns are good himself, so he does know how to grapple and he can go against Gamrot in that sense. But I just see Dariush, as you said, doing more. I just see his output, as we've seen, his output is crazy from the jump. You know, as soon as that bell goes round one, he's just in there throwing a variety of combos, variety of strikes and grappling. He mixes it up. It's like he throws it all in there. You know, like he goes all in enough. He puts it all out there straight away, and it's just he forces his opponent to fight his way, and that's what I really like about him. And I think he's gonna do the same to Gamrot, just as we've seen him do before. That's exactly how I see it. I do know Gamrot is a very good fighter, and we have seen him fight. You know, he does handle pressure well, but Dariush doesn't do pressure wildly. He is very controlled, so that's what I think. I think he's gonna put on that pressure, and he's gonna definitely finish. Well, he's gonna definitely be looking for the finish on Gamrot. But
One inconsistency I've noticed from Gamrot is that in his last fight against Chookagian, we saw him losing the first couple of rounds. Round 3, he picked it up. Round 4 and 5, he was able to show his dominance, score a lot of takedowns, so forth. But in the Ferreira fight, Gamrot looked like he was tiring quite a lot in a stretch of a 3-round fight. So that was quite interesting to see. It's a little bit of an inconsistency. Obviously, the Chookagian fight he probably prepared for and was ready to go 5 rounds. But let's see how he looks in this 3-round fight against Dariush. Both of us leaning with Dariush, but a close one. We think it's going to be quite competitive.
it's gonna be a great fight. It's gonna be a great fight.
Yeah. Of course, we know Gamrot is a contender and obviously up there now after beating Chookagian. He's climbing up the ranks, and yeah, let's see what happens. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and we'll be back with more to cover UFC 280. Petr Yan versus Sean O'Malley is going down, and this is going to be a very interesting fight. I think it's going to be closer than what people think, purely because of the evidence of what we've seen in Petr Yan, and that he likes to take round 1 off. And in a 3-round fight against a long, taller striker, a mover like Sean O'Malley, I don't think it's going to be smart if Petr Yan does what he normally does and takes a round off. He needs to stick it on Sean O'Malley from round 1, because if he takes round 1 number off, O'Malley's more than likely going to pick him apart. And then round 2, 3, obviously, then you're looking at a close fight at that point. But after looking at both fighters, past 5 fights, I think Petr Yan should get the better of Sean O'Malley in the closer exchanges. I think he's going to force the fight into a bit of a dogfight. We've seen him preparing, doing some wrestling and so on and so forth for his training camp for this fight. So he's looking to mix it in. He's not looking just to stand there and strike a taller, longer striker in Sean O'Malley. So as long as he does that from round number 1, puts all of his game together, goes for some takedowns, looks to fight O'Malley on the inside, and doesn't look to take a round off, then I think it will be an easy victory for Petr Yan. But it all depends on how Yan comes in. If he decides to try and stand up and strike with Sean O'Malley and chase the KO, then that's going to probably play detriment to Yan. He needs to shoot for takedowns, and he can't take the first round off, in my opinion. It's going to be a good fight. I think the window for Sean O'Malley to win is going to be very slim if he wants to get the KO. I mean, I don't think he's going to. I think because of the way this fight is, if Yan chases the KO and stands up with Sean O'Malley, then it's going to present itself. But that's only if Yan decides to fight in that way. I think Sean O'Malley's best bet is to look to get a decision victory over Yan, to stand up on the outside, outstrike him, use his longer limbs and so on and so forth. Similar to what he done against Pedro Munoz. And yeah, it's going to be an interesting one, leaning towards Yan, but it all depends on how he decides to come in and fight Sean O'Malley. I think it's going to be a bit of a close one, closer than what people think, because I think people are favouring Petr Yan to dominate Sean O'Malley in this one. And I think it's going to be more so dependent on the approach of each fighter. I don't think it's going to be as
easy to say
it's going to go X way or Y way because of the
Yan is favourite. Is Yan favourite?
Yan's big favourite. Yeah, big favourite.
A big favourite.
Big favourite. Yeah, Sean O'Malley's like.
I would have thought O'Malley was favourite.
No, this is what I'm saying. So, yeah, I just think I don't. It's a mad one still. It's actually a crazy one because I don't like how Yan looks in a lot of his fights in the first round. He literally doesn't do enough. Even in a Sanhagen fight, look at Sanhagen how he fought him. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sanhagen was doing well for the first couple of rounds. All Malley needs to do is win 2 rounds against Petr Yan, who's known to really, not really give much in the first round. He takes a lot off, doesn't really put his foot on the gas, and he gives that round away. So, I don't know, man. If he comes out and he puts it on O'Malley from round 1, I think it'll just be an easy night for Yan. He might even find a stoppage. But he has to look to close the distance. He has to force it to close the distance. And yeah, because O'Malley, one thing that he does do one thing that he does do very well is obviously good footwork, good control of distance, and he puts a lot of decent striking in between him and his opponent to keep them away. And if Yan likes to take round 1 off, O'Malley's going to win that round comfortably. He might pick up a rhythm. O'Malley could even cruise to a decision victory. I see that happening as well. But off the evidence, what we've seen, considering the leg injuries of Sean O'Malley, looking at the Cheeto Oliveira fight, how his leg got debilitated, and then the other fight, South Kamath, whatever his name is, obviously had the leg injury. If Yan fights dirty, if he closes in the distance and really puts it on O'Malley, I see him actually stopping O'Malley at some point. But again, depending on how Yan wants to fight. How do you see this one going down? What do you see happening in this?
Do you know what? That's crazy that you said that Yan is the favorite, because I actually thought Malley would have been the favorite. I was kind of siding Malley, to be honest. I like Yan. I'm a big Yan fan. I like his fighting style. As you say, he does take round 1 off. He does like read his fighter. He lets them throw what they're throwing, and he kind of reads how they react to how he throws, and he it's like he takes a round to learn what's gonna happen. And so I do like how he fights, but during that time, Malley is like a proper calculated thrower. He does he likes to pick off his opponents. He has what 5-inch reach advantage, so he's gonna be controlling that distance and picking apart Yan. And he's much taller as well. It's gonna be kind of hard for Yan to get on the inside, with the type of fighter that Malley is as well, because he likes to throw it out. So even that first round off of Yan trying to learn what his opponent's gonna do might not help, because Malley, he can throw, he mixes it up all the time. He throws a good variety, punches, kicks. He's even great grappler. So you don't really know, you can't really read what Malley's gonna do, and then his style of fighting is just like proper unorthodox. Like,
Yeah.
that's why I like him, because he throws the shots out of nowhere that are proper effective. He's just very explosive, but he's explosive with style. So I think I'm going with Malley, maybe a 3rd round finish, because Yan is going to be trying to close that distance a lot, and Malley's good at picking off his opponents at distance with his reach. So I feel like as Yan is trying to close that distance, he will get picked apart, and that's why I'm going with maybe 3rd round finish. If not,
O'Malley, yeah.
If not, yeah.
Do you think O'Malley?
Yeah, I think O'Malley.
Okay, so interesting, man. And one thing I was just considering is that why I think Yan's gonna more than likely beat O'Malley here is because I'm looking at O'Malley versus Pedro Munoz, yeah, and I'm seeing O'Malley. Obviously, he managed just to basically outbox him, like be the better kickboxer, which he should be because he's taller, longer, and so on and so forth. But there was nothing really impressive to say. Look, he's like, look at Aldo and Pedro Munoz. Pedro Munoz, sorry. Like, there's a difference. You can see the striking. There's a quality. There's a caliber from Aldo, and it was affecting Munoz, pushing him back, and so on and so forth. And I just think that Malley hasn't really shown that he's dominant at that level.
Look at the fight against Chris Mutinino.
But Chris Mutino, like, it's a completely different level when you're talking about the likes of Pedro Munoz, like those sort of fighters in the upper part of Jose Aldo, obviously, like Petr Yan. They're different. Like Corey Sanhagen, they're completely different to Chris Moutinho. Like, and so even in that Moutinho fight, well, O'Malley was getting caught with a few shots. He was getting caught with clean shots. He was. He dominated him. Yeah, he did whatever, but he was getting caught by a person who really he should have, with the firepower and the accuracy of what he was landing. If he can't put away Moutinho,
yeah,
I don't see him putting away.
That, but I might be being a bit biased because I am a fan of O'Malley, of course. But
Yeah.
I just see him picking him apart as he's like Jan. You cannot take away from him, but as he's come, he has to close that distance, and that's where it will go wrong.
Oh, you remember one thing, Jan Sandhagen.
Yeah, Sandhagen is long as well.
And Jan, you saw Jan dealt with him, knocked him down with a spinning back fist and a hook after that. Do you remember? Yeah, he was knocking him down. He was landing. He was outboxing him, innit? He was outstriking him. And I think we're going to see the same thing here. But in a 3-round fight, you know, considering the pace that Jan likes to sort of give away that first round, that's the only thing I'm thinking about. Because it'll make it a close fight, isn't it? If Jan gives away the first round and he wins the second, it makes then it makes it anyone's round 3. So that's the only thing I'm worried about. But otherwise, I'm going with Jan. You're picking O'Malley to win this one. You think O'Malley's going to? I'm not hating it. You know, I do see a night where O'Malley has his way with Jan as well. I just think at this time, I think Jan's got a lot to prove. Him losing the belt, obviously to Aljamain, fighting underneath Aljamain on a big card. I think Jan's going to be a dog in this fight, and I think he's going to look to finish Sean O'Malley. Yeah. Evidence shows he likes to take round 1 off, but I do think we're going to see a very hungry, dangerous Peter Yan going into round number 1 of this fight against Sean O'Malley.
Regardless,
great fight. Let us know who you think is going to win in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and we'll be back with more. Aljamain Sterling defends his belt against TJ Dillashaw, and I think come Sunday morning, I reckon TJ Dillashaw is going to be the new UFC bantamweight champion of the world. And for a few reasons, I'm going to tell you why. Look, TJ Dillashaw, number 1, has far the superior striking over Aljamain Sterling in that he's got excellent head movement. He moves his feet and glides from left to right and really sets up his striking. I remember some few years back when Vasily Lomachenko, who was boxing pound for pound at one point, TJ Dillashaw used to actually share the ring with Vasily Lomachenko, boxing spar with him, and actually land some decent shots and do some good work of his own against the likes of Lomachenko. I reckon his time out of the cage to have us forget, and his loss to Henry Cejudo as well, sort of tainted him and have us forget how good he is. But his fight with Corey Sandhagen sort of ignited that. Even though some people thought Sandhagen won that, I reckon it was a clear victory for Dillashaw, and he really showed himself, showed his experience and his skills in the cage. Alongside that, more so than his striking, which I think he'll have over Aljamain Sterling, I reckon that his takedown defense is going to be enough to give Aljamain Sterling any success in that department. He's got 86% takedown defense in his UFC career. And I don't think Aljamain Sterling is going to be comfortable with getting TJ Dillashaw down. He might get him down for a few instances, but I reckon there'll be scrambles and Dillashaw will be able to get back to his feet. And so I don't think Aljamain Sterling will find comfort in there either. So he won't find comfort in the striking because Aljamain Sterling has a very good dynamic kicking game, throws a lot of kicks, keeps his range, moves around the cage very well. We saw that in the Peter Yan fight, the second one, before he started taking him down. Even in the first fight, he had a little bit of success on the feet as well. But he needs time, he needs space to gain leverage on those shots. And TJ Dillashaw, with his movement, with his left and right movement, his pressure, his ability to threat with his own takedowns as well, I reckon Aljamain Sterling's not going to be comfortable in the stand-up either. And I reckon Dillashaw is going to edge himself to win a decision victory over Aljamain Sterling and be the UFC bantamweight champion based on everything that we've discussed here. I mean, have a look at it and see the quality of striking. If the grappling gets neutralized and there's sort of a stalemate there, I think it even more so favors TJ Dillashaw to win. And I'm leaning with him to win. Who do you think is going to win, T? How are you seeing this one?
I think this is another close one. On this card, there's definitely some close fights going to happen, man. Definitely, we may see some surprising ends. This fight, I don't know where to go with this fight, man. Because as you said, TJ Dillashaw he's great. From what we've been watching, it does look like he can finish Aljamain Sterling. You know, although Sterling's on a streak of wins, streak of them. You know, saying that with TJ being like high output, a force. He's very pressurable. Aljamain Sterling, he has fought other fighters that are like that, and he has beat them. So it is gonna be a very close one, because Jan is very, very on the front foot. He's very puts on the pressure. Great striker. Aljamain Sterling beat him twice. Aljamain Sterling, like he showed his grappling and his wrestling in that very well. And if it goes to that, which we already know, TJ is very like he's top tier with his grappling and wrestling. If it does go to Aljamain, it won't be the advantage that TJ would be hoping for, because Aljamain Sterling has got the same level of skill. So it's gonna be a very close one. I'm not really sure who to go with. I want to say Dillashaw, because of his pressure and the way his striking is. His striking output is, as you said, a lot. His striking does outdo Aljamain Sterling if you do go look at it back by stats on paper or by watching it. So I want to lean towards Dillashaw, but Sterling, he's on a streak that he doesn't want to lose. He's not gonna want to lose his belt. So we're gonna see top tier Sterling. So it is a proper close one to call. This isn't one. This isn't one that I would even say bet on, to be honest, at all.
So if you were to pick a side, if you had a gun held to your head, or if you had to bet the last of your poons, who's it going on?
It would have to go
Your
on.
pounds,
It would
your
have to go
pounds,
on
your GBP.
Sterling. It would have to go on Sterling,
Sterling.
just on the fact that
You're putting your Great British pound sterling on sterling.
just on the
But
fact
yeah,
that
I
he's
do
champion.
see,
He's
yeah, I do see
champion.
it
He's
being.
coming in this hungry. They're both. It's not like TJ is like the levels of their skills are greatly on TJ's side. They both level in skill. They're both level in height, reach. Well, Sterling actually has a reach advantage over him, but TJ, that won't bother TJ. We've seen TJ against Sanhagen. That was not a problem at all. So this is gonna
Exactly.
be a proper close one, man. You are right. TJ could actually take this. We could actually see a new champion on Sunday. This is gonna be exciting. I'm actually looking forward to this fight, man. I really don't know who to go with. I want to say Sterling, because he's not going to want to lose this, but Dillashaw might take it, man. Gun to my head, I'm gonna have to go Sterling
So, a very iffy, but call it a 50-50 choice from T-Bar. I'm going to go with a TJ Dillashaw victory. I think he's going to do enough to do it. I just think he's just got a little bit more there for Aljamain than what he's seen already. And although Peter Yan is a devastating, dangerous striker, we know how he is, and Aljamain Sterling had his way with him in that second fight. I just see Dillashaw bringing a lot more to the cage than what Aljamain's going to be sort of prepared for. And with the age, I think Aljamain, in the back of his head, thinks TJ Dillashaw might be a sort of done guy out here. Couple years out of the cage, a victory over Sanhagen, but I still think that Aljamain's coming in with some, what do you call it, a bit of unearned, a little bit unearned confidence here, because we have to remember TJ Dillashaw has a lot of stripes. He's very decorated and he has a lot of experience, and we're forgetting that. We can't forget that. If you're talking about betting, of course, a close fight, I do see Aljamain Sterling scenarios where he can win this. I just think the experience is going to pay off here for TJ Dillashaw. But yeah, you're right. I won't be surprised if it's a close one, isn't it? I won't be surprised.
I do think this one might be fight of the night.
And this is where sometimes I get things a bit mixed up, because I think in terms of value, I think TJ Dillashaw as an underdog in this one is more good than anything else. But yeah, in terms of actually looking at it, like very close one. For betting, the value's there for Dillashaw, but yeah, close one. I wouldn't really recommend even putting any money on this one, because I think it's going to be that. I think it could be that close, yeah. But yeah, that's it. That's the outcome for this video. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and have a look at the rest of our choices for this card. the main event for UFC 280, the big one. The one to finally crown a new lightweight champion, Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev. Oliveira is the champ, let's face it. He lost it on a technicality, being half a pound overweight. But I still view him as a champion. He never lost his belt. But this is to be official, to crown the lightweight champion this weekend. Islam Makhachev is taking on the champion, in inverted commas, Charles Oliveira. And this is a close one, man. I mean, I've been doing research, proper studying this one, and after doing a few hours of looking at some of these fights, I think Islam Makhachev is gonna beat Charles Oliveira, and I think it's gonna be a close one. I don't think it's gonna be like a dominant victory. I think Charles Oliveira is gonna have his success in round number 1. I think he's gonna hurt Islam Makhachev and have his way on the feet. But after that, I think Makhachev's going to slowly and eventually start grinding away at Charles Oliveira. He's going to get a few takedowns. He's going to slow Oliveira down. And I reckon he's going to finish him in round number 3, 4, or 5. I think by that point, I reckon the top control...
Finish him how?
I reckon he's going to ground and pound TKO him. And why I say this is because I've looked at a lot of Charles Oliveira's fights, and the reason why he's so successful in his recent fights and why he's looked so good is because he's fought the likes of like Justin Gaethje, Dustin Poirier, Michael Chandler. These fighters have only had one approach when fighting Charles Oliveira, and that's to seek and destroy and to finish him on the feet. And what happens is from round number 1, they get dragged into dogfights. And then they slowly start to walk because Oliveira is tough. Obviously, he's got the grappling as well over a lot of these fighters. And as they get dragged into a dogfight, they end up losing to obviously the better fighter. And I think Makhachev's not going to have that approach. I reckon he's going to fight more calculated. He's going to use his defense. He's going to move around the cage. He's not going to go at Charles Oliveira in a straight line. And I reckon it's going to open up some takedowns for Makhachev. And then we're going to see him slowly start grinding away at Oliveira. Looking at Oliveira versus Kevin Lee is where I'm thinking, is where I'm getting this sort of like perception, because Kevin Lee had Oliveira looking tired, was taking him down with ease, and it's not until Kevin Lee got tired himself is when Oliveira latched onto a guillotine from a lazy takedown from Kevin Lee. And I don't think Makhachev is going to get tired. I do think he's going to take Oliveira down similarly how Kevin Lee took him down. And I think he's going to be better at the top control, better positioning. And I think we're going to see Oliveira drain and get tired quicker. That's actually what I see happening. But obviously it's a close one. I do see round 1 being competitive and Oliveira hurting Makhachev in some spots, but Makhachev surviving. And then again, as I say, slowly wearing him down for a TKO victory of ground and pound over rounds 3, 4, 5. That's what I see happening. What do you see happening in this one?
You know, I've been back and forth with you and everyone talking about this fight. I don't know what way to lead with this, man, at all. Because Oliveira, just look at his record. Everybody knows Charles Oliveira. You know, his record is amazing. He's fought some top fighters and won. You just named 3 of them. You know, and you know that everybody would say that Makhachev will dominate him because of his grappling and his wrestling. His great fighting style, you know, his relentlessness. But everyone's forgetting that Oliveira has the same attributes, you know. Oliveira is actually a great fighter, so I don't really know where to lean with this. I would say if it does go the full 5 rounds, and it goes to decision, then Makhachev might get the decision just by their grappling and wrestling exchanges. He will come out on top. But Oliveira will damage him. First 2 rounds, I reckon we're gonna see some explosiveness from Oliveira, man. This may be me just saying because I'm a fan, but I think Oliveira, he could finish him in the first 3 rounds. He could, but But let me not take from Makhachev because I do like Makhachev. He's a good fighter. He is very tough. He does have a very good chin on him, strong chin. Um, great wrestling. So if it does go down, he could get Oliveira into a surprising bad position and submit him. But I'm not sure, man. I just see Oliveira surprising us, man. And who's the favorite for this?
Makhachev.
Makachev. Exactly. I do
Hmm.
see Oliveira surprising everyone because yeah, that's what I was thinking. Makachev is the favorite, so
And as
everyone will
well, I do
expect
think that
it.
the odds should be more even. It should be more of an even fight. I don't think it should be as like
Nah, it's
favored
it's
to
definitely
Makhachev
not
as it
gonna
is.
be. It's definitely not gonna be one sided.
Yeah.
Definitely not. I think it, Oliveira could finish him, but if it goes past 3 rounds, Makachev is gonna win by points. That's what I'm going with. But I think maybe Oliveira, because I have to go, so I'm gonna say Oliveira finishing third round.
You're going to have an Oliveira finish, yeah?
Yeah, that's what I see. Just because he knows Makachev is dangerous, so he knows he can't give him that opportunity to submit him. So he's gonna have to. He knows that he has to damage him. He has to try and finish him.
I do think though that Makhachev's stand-up is a little bit underlooked and underrated as well. I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
a
definitely.
lot of people forget that the camp that they're with is predominantly a lot. Although there's a lot of wrestlers that's been there, DC, Cain Velasquez, obviously Khabib, and now the rest of the Dagestanis there. It's a kickboxing academy at the end of the day. So obviously they're striking and Makhachev having a decent foundation as well. I
Yeah,
reckon that's going to be evident in this fight. I think people are going to start to take note and realize that Makhachev is a decent striker because although I don't think he's going to hurt Oliveira of anything substantial on the feet, I reckon he'll do enough to stay safe and land some decent strikes. And yeah, man, just remember the Kevin Lee fight at the end of the day, he was taking Oliveira down with ease. And then I think in round number 2, he had like 2.5 minutes control time with Oliveira doing absolutely nothing off his back. So based off that, I reckon Makhachev, as soon as he gets him down in that position, as soon as he gets a clear takedown in the center of the cage, not near the fence or anything, and Makhachev is on top of him, I think he's going to be able to really put some mad pressure on Oliveira, and we're going to see him breathing heavy. And I think we're going to see I don't think Makhachev will be able to get the submission, but he's going to ground and pound him. He's going to pound the back of his head, the side of his head, flatten him out,
yeah.
and I reckon we're going to see a finish for Makhachev. So, T going with Oliveira, I'm going with Makhachev to get the finish later rounds. Let us know what you think in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and we'll be back with more.